Today I'm excited to welcome Heinrich Perez, the creative director and the founder of TumiVision Productions, a full-service video production company creating compelling visual content for corporate, commercial, and entertainment clients. Their work spans from everything commercials and documentaries to motion graphics, photography, drone production, podcasts, and live stage solutions. Am I missing anything?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be more in the next few months, but yeah.
Henrich plays a key role in turning ideas into visual stories and helps brands connect their audience and communicate their message effectively. As both a creative leader and business owner, he oversees the vision behind every project, which also building and managing the company from the ground up. So you're a very busy man.
Trying to stay busy.
So Henrich, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to learn more about the creative process, your work in marketing, and what it's been like to build TumiVision from the ground up. So to start, can you tell us a little bit about your role today, what your day-to-day looks like as both the creative director and the owner?
Well, lately, we've been very busy traveling. There's a time where companies, they're just waiting for the new quarter to say, hey, this is what we're looking for in the next 3 months. And typically around December, in their heads, they're thinking about vacation time, right? So it's basically kind of rare to hear from a client say, hey, we want to do this in December or January, or maybe February. But March,
this is when you're busy.
Yeah, we're traveling, and basically to kind of give you an idea, what we do is planning, inventory based on the number of equipment that we have. It's important for us, it's crucial for us to know what we have and what we need. Looking always forward to the next big project.
So you just keep a log of all the equipment that you keep?
Yes, but also always understanding that we may need more.
Okay.
And that's the key for us, when it's called investment, and we're going to talk about how we started and all that. But investing in your business is something that is crucial. If you're not doing it, you're not ready for the next project.
Right, and always wanting to expand.
Absolutely.
So how are you balancing the creative side of your work with the business side of running a company?
I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos.
Okay.
And obviously, looking at TV, big events like Super Bowl, for example, I'm always paying attention to what's new. That TV commercial is like, oh, that is cool. Right. That is a new way to advertise. Diversity is huge. You have to always have diversity present on any production, regardless if it's video or if it's photography. That is one of the things that will drive you to probably get more clients. Right,
and just staying relevant with everything that's happening from the marketing
side. Especially being in a country like in the United States, where diversity is key, especially the Latino side is just such one of those populations that is just growing tremendously. So if you're not including that, you might miss an opportunity.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that, right? How it's always the continuous learning of whatever you're doing.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned earlier how insurance plays a large role in your business. Can you tell us about the certificate of insurance, or the COI?
Absolutely. So we focus a lot on doing commercial stuff. We work a lot with corporate accounts. We stay away from the wedding type of video production and quinceañeras, nightclubs, things like that. But doing business, for 16 years plus, we learn that just because you walk with the camera into a building, it's okay for you to film, or it's okay for you to take a photo. A lot of companies, most occasions, they don't like it.
Right.
It's all about branding, and also it's about security, right? They just don't want anything to be up there. So going through, working with these big companies and big hotels across the globe, most companies, 99%, they're going to ask you for a COI, which is Certificate of Insurance, meaning that even though your client, is paying for the event itself, you as the producer, as the videographer, photographer, you're bringing equipment. If something happens, to any guest, you are responsible. Your client is not even responsible. You are responsible for it. So a lot of hotels, they have these guidelines where they're gonna ask, okay, whoever's gonna be the producer, here are the requirements for the COI. And we're looking for a $2 or $3 million policy. You know, typically for that kind of insurance, it might cost you anything from $185 to $250, especially if you're adding things like drones. It goes way more expensive. You know, drones is just one of those things that look cool, but insurance is something that you cannot miss. Otherwise, be ready to get sued.
Right. So it's just a way to protect your company, your staff, protect yourself, everybody. And you said that it differs per hotel or per location that you're at.
It all differs. It's different based on how long you're doing it and what equipment that you're bringing. And if you're doing drone, hopefully that is allowed in the area. For example, we've done events at the San Diego Hilton Center. You can't fly a drone in that area because there is a Navy base right next to it.
Interesting.
Yes.
So it's a lot of research going into wherever you're going.
Absolutely. And even though if you want to fly, basically the FAA is not going to allow you. Basically, your drone doesn't turn on or doesn't fly at all. It's just one of those things that you have to be aware. Just because you are a photographer, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn anything about drones.
Right.
There's a lot of things to consider: weather, permits, insurance. So
there's drones. We're doing a podcast. There's commercials. From a marketing perspective, what would you say that TumiVision specializes in most?
We specialize on working with corporate accounts. We had the opportunity years ago to start a contract with a big company, which I'm not going to say the name of. It's the number one food service company in the world. And I learned a lot, and working directly with our CEO, all the executives, traveling and be able to kind of be part of these meetings. You basically realize that, oh my God, there's so much more about selling food or about moving food from one place to the other. And I think that's one of the things that as a company or as a business owner, you have to always be willing to learn more. Did you always know that you wanted to do corporate, or it kind of just evolved into that? The transition is kind of funny because I have a bachelor's in business. And I lived in San Francisco for six years. Then I moved to Texas, and I basically started working for an insurance agency, and I was focusing on the operations side of the company. But then, when I decided to launch my own agency along with another partner, I was forced to get into marketing because I needed to create my own graphic design work. And I unfortunately hiring other graphic designers that didn't have the same vision that I had. I'm a very organized person, so
I saw the way that you set everything up.
And for me, everything the structure has to be perfect, and I'm always looking for ways to make it better. So I basically transitioned into graphic design, and then I transitioned into photography, but then ended up doing video production. And I'm always learning something. Making T-shirts. I love to cook, so be able to kind of working with chefs, for example. The way they make different applications for the food with a specific meat, kind of creates a lot of interest in my mind. So I'm like, you know what? I need to do that. Same thing happens with by adding new equipment. I'm always looking into these big videographers that they have thousands of followers, but I'm looking into the equipment that they're using, and they're always talking about upgrading. Just like having a car, along the way you're gonna have to upgrade your equipment, like laptops, lenses, cameras, lighting. There's always a new trend, and that's a keyword that if you're not updating your trend and you're not really to that same level, you're not going anywhere. Was all of this self-taught too, or did you have like a mentor who kind of led you along the way? I think it's more like self-taught. It's be able to kind of, just because you're doing one thing, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be learning something new.
Right.
And that kind of take us into AI, for example. That's something that a lot of people don't understand. I don't know much about it, but covering all these big events, corporate events across the nation, everybody's talking about it, from real estate, from healthcare, food and service, education. Everybody talks about AI. So I think that is a new thing that most people need to pay attention and be able to invest their time on learning.
Right. And a lot of companies too have started using AI to create their photos and create their videos. So what you do, like, you're doing the real thing. There's a lot of thought behind it and there's a lot of care into it. How do you approach creating the content that actually drives results for the clients rather than just looks good?
I think, and like I said, diversity is one of the things that you should always consider in your production, in your ideas. Be able to see what kind of client is it that your client is looking for. What does the market look like for them?
Right.
What is the competition doing that they are not doing? So you kind of have to bring that.
Make sure everything's geared for that client.
What is your market? What is the specific areas that you're working on?
Right.
Is it Latinos? Is it white? Is it, you name it.
Right.
So that's how everything starts. And then from there, you also have to look for the human side. What motivates someone when someone watch a video? You want to make them cry. You want to make them laugh. Videos can't be that serious. And
AI is not going to feel that the same way. And you have to have, like, you especially, like, had to have so much motivation to leave the field that you were in.
Absolutely.
And then start your own company. Can you tell me what the early stages of building the company looked like?
Oh gosh, starting for us was renting equipment.
Okay.
And that was one of the probably biggest challenges that we had. We have so many opportunities where we were requested to fly to Bahamas or Cayman Islands or whatever, and then you don't have that camera, that specific lens that will compensate what the client is willing to pay you.
Right.
And you have to record, okay, let me go ahead and rent this camera because it deserves to show to this event, to this island with a nice equipment, right? Because that's exactly why you want to charge thousands of dollars rather than coming with a little iPhone or maybe a GoPro, which I done. A lot of times you're like, oh, maybe I can do better content with this. It doesn't work that way. If you're looking to get a project that is willing to pay you thousands of dollars, you have to have equipment.
Right.
And if you're willing to get the big production, meaning bringing more people, which a lot of times these talents, these videographers, photographers, they have the eye, but they don't have the equipment. So the investment part is a key for us.
Right.
Be able to kind of bring enough equipment so then they can produce the same thing that we want to produce for that client.
Would you say that was one of your biggest challenges that you faced whenever you were starting out?
Absolutely. And then, I'm originally from Peru, so language a lot of times kind of plays a role into those challenges.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think you have to be a people's person. Sometimes you're gonna you're gonna walk into a hotel and some stuff, they're not gonna like you. They already know what they want and they're gonna try to give you a hard time. That happens.
Right.
But if you're a people's person, you can deal with anybody. It's like sitting at the bar, right?
Definitely.
And you just talk to people. I treat people the same way. I can talk to a homeless and also an executive, and I have the opportunity to work with people from the government, like Laura Bush, for example, and I would treat a person the same way that I would treat a bartender or a server, because we're all humans.
Just having that respect for everybody.
Yeah, you have to show them, who you are, and they're gonna like you. If you can't bring a conversation to the table, there's no titles. That's the way I see it.
So that's definitely like a philosophy for you. Are you looking for that in people that you're hiring as well? Like, as the founder, when you're hiring people, are you prioritizing the technical skills, the creativity, or more their personality?
I think it's a combination of everything. Be punctual is a key for our business. Be able to kind of present yourself in a good way. You know, you have to look clean, get a nice haircut. You know, you have to invest on yourself as well.
Right.
Be able to know, you know, and how to use equipment, and have sense for what we are trying to achieve. It's one of those things that we're always looking for individuals, rather than having someone looking at their phone and social media all day, or complain about, hey, you know, being standing here for several hours, or not willing to do a little bit more.
And go that extra mile.
Right, because, you know, it takes a lot to get a client. It takes a lot to convince somebody to say, yeah, I'm the right person to do this. And yet, when you bring in someone that is not gonna play, is not gonna be a good player like you, it's gonna cost you.
Right.
And the last thing that you want is the client to complain about it and walk away from you.
Does that make you lean towards people who have experience rather than, you know, having to teach them along the way more?
I think kind of goes both ways. I'm a big believer on giving people an opportunity to learn something. You know, that's how you know, when I was 12, without even knowing, you know, in Peru, someone at school, they teach us how to use a camera, a little bit of video production, without even knowing, hey, this is what I'm gonna be doing, you know, when I grow up. You know, we are working with nonprofits, for example, like Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brother, Big Sisters. A lot of times, we have cases where some of these kids can't be in front of the camera. So, and I know that they probably feel bad about it.
Okay.
So rather than just push them and place them on the side, a lot of times I try to bring in as my assistants and kind of teach them, hey, this is how you use a camera. Come here, hold this, take a picture.
That's so sweet. So you might have one of them coming over to be your assistant. What does a structure look like on your day-to-day? Like who's traveling with you? How many people do you have with you?
It all depends on the project. For example, if you're doing something that is out of the city, most likely we will bring people from that same city. A lot of times, you know, we go in contract freelancers.
Okay.
And that's what I like about social media, especially Facebook. There's a lot of pages that you can basically find photographers in the area, and then you can just post, hey, I have a project, I'm looking for this person, these are the requirements. Let me know what equipment you have available or what can you use, and then we communicate with them, and then if we like them, they basically work for us during that week.
How do you keep everything aligned and running smoothly, especially when you're working with new people on a project?
Number one is the moment that you stop producing, transfer all your files right away.
Smart.
I had, unfortunately, cases where we were like, yeah, we can do that tomorrow, the next day. Turns out, boom, files are not there, or something happened with equipment. So you have to basically transfer all your files right away and start, and this is something that I personally like to do, is when it comes to photography, edit everything the same day and send them to the client as soon as possible. And those are my expectations when it comes to working with other people. Transfer the files at the end of the event, and then I start editing right away, and I start reviewing everything right away. Yes, you're tired, it's been a long day, but organizing all your equipment and all your data, putting it on the right hard drives, is a key for any business. Yeah.
Was there a specific project that you can tell me about that didn't go as planned?
Oh, yeah.
Like what you learned from that?
I had the opportunity to interview the executive VP of marketing of the Houston Astros.
Okay.
It's a friend of mine, Anita. And fantastic. Camera, lights, recording. Got home, no audio.
No.
Completely forgot about connecting a cable.
No.
And that's why you always want to bring an extra person to your project. Yes, in the beginning, a budget might not be high as you're expecting, but sometimes you just want to bring that extra help.
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure. That's why the setup process, it takes a little bit longer, just to make sure that you are doing everything correctly. It's like walking into a restaurant and making sure that everybody understands this is what we're doing. Inventory, right? What is the day looks like? What is the kitchen is about to bring? It's just everything is related in the industry. So that was unfortunately we have to do it again.
That's so
the challenge is obviously this based on her schedule. We had to wait days, but at least we were able to do it.
Right.
Another case is just sending someone for a project and the person not be ready, like not bring enough batteries, for example.
Right.
Because the project might run a little bit longer, but then she didn't have enough batteries. Then she needs to stop. The client basically can't stop the project or the events. So she's basically missing the moments, right? So that's something that we, as a company, we always have to be very careful to make sure that everybody has the right equipment and enough equipment to do the job.
Since we're talking about equipment, can you tell me a little bit about the setup that you did today?
Absolutely. So right now we're running 3 cameras. So main camera, actually focused on me, is the Sony FX3 with a Sony G Master lens 2470, which is one of the most expensive lenses.
Okay.
I really love that camera. And then the one that we're using for you is also a Sony camera with a 7200 lens, which is a long range.
That's what you were telling me to get the Sony cameras when I was looking at them.
I love Sony, so don't get me wrong. I used to be a Canon person, and then kind of switched into Sony.
These are some hardcore cameras.
Yeah, and then we have another one in the back. It's a Sony with a 2470 G Master lens as well.
Nice.
And then
we got
2
the
beautiful lights. Yeah.
Very bright.
Yeah.
We look healthy and glowing for the interview.
Yeah, and that we can control with an app. And that's a cool part about this business is that it's like having new toys every day. I'm always excited about investing and getting the latest of the latest.
I know, and whenever you turned it on, it was like flashing different colors, and I was like, that's so fun that you can change it for whatever project you're working on.
That's right. Yeah, at the end of this interview, we're gonna play some disco lights.
Okay, and we'll dance at the end to celebrate. So to go back to the projects, I want to do the flip side. Can you walk me through a project that you're especially proud of?
There's so many, but I think be able to produce videos for nonprofits, it kind of is one of my favorites. Working with the Boys and Girls Clubs is a very special project. Not only is a great account for us for the last 9 years, but be able to kind of work with kids, bring that motivational part, creative part on the video, and then be able to kind of see it in a big way where hundreds of people are just watching it, and then just watch the guests' faces,
the reactions, and feel proud.
Always looking forward to get that little tear coming out. I think that is the proudest moment that as a producer you can have.
You can reach those emotions with everybody.
Yeah, be able to kind of them kind of see what you've done, and sometimes these videos can take several days to produce. Interviews, B-roll, different locations. I think that's my motivation. And don't get me wrong, be able to produce things in the Bahamas, in an island.
The fun stuff as well.
Hey, you put me in the airport, I'm happy. I'm excited. That's my goal. Be able to travel.
I love that. That's such a beautiful answer about like reaching the emotions. That kind of perfectly goes into our business philosophy. What are some values that guide the way that you work with clients and your team?
I think respect is a very important thing to always consider when you're working. Not smoking in front of a client. I don't smoke.
Right.
Thanks to my
being professional.
Wife, I stopped smoking 24 years ago.
That's awesome.
And not drinking in front of the client, which is kind of hard because a lot of times the clients are like, hey, yeah, come and celebrate, right? But then you always have to have keep that
of
gap
business.
between as a professional person and the client. be able to show up on time. It's something that a lot of times, the client's expectation is, oh yeah, we're gonna start our event on Tuesday, so I really need you here on Tuesday. I don't need you on Monday. Technically, I have to be there on Monday.
Right.
Because you never know.
Right.
Like right now, right?
Your cables and wires.
Absolutely. And if you're traveling, I mean, take a look at what happened with at the airport. You might get a cancellation or delay.
Right.
So you have to consider the delays.
Every possibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but respect, I think, is one of the most important things that in my business, it's a big expectation.
Right. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. Like the way that you talk to everybody is with respect and showing, even if you're talking to a bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Be a people's person, but be respectful.
Right. So, what's your overall vision for TumiVision? Where do you see the company going?
So this year, one of my goals is to focus on AI, be able to learn that, and see how AI can help us expand. Be able to kind of produce more videos, specific videos and commercial photography across the globe. We had the opportunity to be in Germany this past December, and it's a very interesting place to be and be able to kind of see what they do, and obviously the language it could be a big challenge.
Right.
But honestly, anywhere that you go, most people speak English. So just because you don't speak German doesn't mean that you will not gonna be able to do anything over there.
That's so fun that you get to travel so much for your job, and like you're doing something that you love, but you're also getting to see the world a little bit as you do it.
Yeah.
Do you have any personal standards or principles that you refuse to compromise in your work?
There are some industries that I'm not really interested on working with, which one would be probably the adult.
Right. That's a good answer.
Adult business. Working with companies that involve alcohol or drugs, I think that's something that I'm not really interested on.
Right, that makes sense. Definitely.
Yeah, and this is based on the experience that we have so far working with a lot of nonprofits and big corporations. I don't think that would look right.
Right. I hear what you're saying, definitely. And that kind of separates your brands from others when these companies are choosing, they have the comparison.
Absolutely.
What separates brands that succeed with content from those that don't? Like why is the content important for these companies to have? Why is it important to be such great quality like you have?
I think technology is basically what pushes companies to create content. Everybody's using devices like phones, and everybody's on their phone these days.
Right.
And if you're not on social media as a company, I think you're losing a big chunk of market because someone else is gonna take it from you. And I think that's the whole reason why companies they always consider video and photography that has to be new and fresh.
Right.
And let's just say every 3 months. And if they're willing to do that, that means that you have to be ready for, to also show up with the right equipment, with the latest of the latest, and be able to kind of know what you're doing. Yeah.
So how do you handle the situations with a client when the vision doesn't fully align with the creative direction that you think works best?
I learned working with large agencies, and I think that's such an awesome experience, is that the preparations for these events, which involves a lot of people, and it means a lot of meetings prior to the events. Everybody is basically on the same line. And if you don't understand something, that gives you the opportunity to ask questions and understand exactly what the company or the client is looking for. So you show up, basically you go to these events ready, knowing that everybody is doing their job and everybody knows exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So there's no time for surprises, right? I'm doing this, which is going to be different of what you talked about 2 months ago.
So just a lot of communication leading up to everything. So what advice would you give to someone who wanted to start their own creative business or production company?
Be open.
Okay.
Be open to explore new areas. Just because you're comfortable shooting photography in a certain way or doing video in a certain way, it doesn't mean that you can learn a different method, a different look. And also, always consider invest in your business, in yourself, in your brand. For me, it's key to bring my brand everywhere. I'm always wearing my polo, TumiVision, my hats, my cases. Everything that we do has a name on it.
Right.
You never know who you're sitting right next to, or what you're editing. Someone might ask you, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Right.
You know what? I'm the vice president of marketing for this company, and give me your card. And then they might refer you to some other companies, and that's exactly how we get our clients. It's all about referrals.
Word of mouth referrals. Are you guys putting up ads as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn for us is huge. Unfortunately, we can't really post a lot or show most of our content because it belongs to the client, and that's the type of clients that we're working with.
Interesting. So once you create the content, they now own the content?
We do a lot of training videos, for example. So there's a lot of information that we can't disclose.
It's private.
Everything runs between their own network, their own cloud, and it's meant to be just for their own employees. So we have to be very careful of what we show and what we can show on social media.
Do you try to prioritize behind the scenes so that you're not fully showing what's being shot, but just that you are there doing it?
I mean, we try, but at the same time, we understand that some of these projects, they just can't be shown.
Right.
It's just they can be very sensitive a lot of times.
Okay. So we talked about being open to someone who would want to start their own company. What skills do you think that they should start developing now?
I would always recommend people to consider taking some business classes. Like spreadsheets is a big thing in your business. Be able to kind of understand what a calendar looks like. Outlook is important. Be able to kind of open different documents, different type of files. For me, when I got started, I was able to kind of understand, the whole Office platform. But then I had to learn, graphic design programs. And to this day, be able to kind of, just because I'm editing or I'm doing video, doesn't mean that I shouldn't learn Illustrator or InDesign or Photoshop. Everything is related, everything. And marketing, especially these days with social media, you have to be open to kind of learn new ways. New ways. AI is just transforming everything as well for us. So.
And you're talking about spreadsheets, and it's I think a lot of people will take classes about it, or they won't want to learn about it because it's the boring side of it. But then especially for you want everything to be organized and perfect, and especially for the client.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to be able to kind of manage your own agenda, your own time. And for me, the best way is to use the spreadsheet. I like Outlook, but if I have to have my spreadsheet to see what my year is gonna look like. It's a lot easier for me to say, this is what my month is gonna look like, and this is what my expectations, what city I'm going to.
Right, especially how you were saying earlier, how people aren't tending to book out December and January, so you have these certain months where everything's jam-packed in, so you have to stay organized for it.
And if my motivation is travel, I have to see myself going to the East Coast, to the West Coast, middle of the country on this month, and that's how I treat my clients. Let them know, hey, I'm gonna be here, let's talk about your ideas, what is it that you need? And then they're like, oh, a lot of times it takes just a phone call to say, remind them, right? Hey, I'm here. What do you have? What do you want to do in the next, few weeks? And they're like, yeah, I need video, I need photography, I need to create this. I have to get ready for this event that I've been thinking about. It's just reminding people that you exist.
Right. Is there anything else that you want to tell me about your company or your journey before we start wrapping up?
No, I think the last 16 years it's been we had challenges as new as any company, especially after COVID. But that kind of opens a lot of doors for us, be able to kind of explore different ways to do marketing, be able to kind of work with different type of industries.
And learn how to pivot when things don't happen the right way.
Absolutely. But I think, the more equipment that we own kind of brings us more security, of the way how we present ourselves, and knowing that we can take most projects at this point.
At what stage of owning the company did you switch from renting to buying? Was there like a big bulk, or you kind of just accumulated like as you went through?
That's a good question, because I think the moment that we start getting more projects, that was a point where we said, you know what, it's time to invest. I know we want to keep that extra money, but it's just keep getting new equipment, knowing that you already spent so much money renting something. It's time for you to invest and buy it, own it, and just be more secure about yourself, that you can say, yeah, I can shoot a lot more videos now that I have this equipment.
And it probably just feels so good to invest in yourself and know that you started this company and that it's taken off and it's been doing so well that you can make that big investment now.
Absolutely. And then be able to kind of thinking about, hey, I want to multiply myself, but that means that you also have to have more equipment. So it is sometimes hard to do, because you're spending so much money, knowing that you also have to protect it. So insurance,
I was just about to bring that up too.
It's a big factor as well.
So we talked about the insurance when you're traveling different places. What does the insurance look like insuring cameras and equipment?
I think that's a great question. A lot of companies provide different types of policies, and you're not gonna find the perfect insurance up there. But one thing that I will always recommend someone is to invest on cases.
Okay.
I keep all my stuff, trying to keep it as they're new.
Right.
Honest. I'm always very, very careful the way I manage, my equipment, and I have to take time to reorganize, everything. Is the way we storage items, knowing that this is the moment that we have to go shoot. We know exactly what we have our stuff.
Right.
It goes by area, so you can now have your own warehouse.
So you have your spreadsheet of everything that you have.
You have to have that, and that kind of allows you to identify for any project what is it that you have to bring, and where's the location for these items, right?
Right.
Be able to kind of grab it, have everything has its own case, and obviously having a little cart like that
little
thing is
cart that you wheeled everything in with.
That actually has a battery on it.
That has a battery? The cart does?
Yeah, you can push up to 350 pounds with that thing.
Wow.
You can sit in there and kind of ride it around.
There was a lot of equipment there. I'm sure it gets really heavy, especially you were saying earlier when you were going through the airport to make sure everything's protected.
Oh, TSA love me.
Yeah, you got the hard case, you got the TumiVision on it.
Right. Yeah, everything has to be secure, organized, and when we travel, we just bring all the toys.
Right, that's a lot of stuff to carry with you.
It's expensive, but you know what? It's part of the business. So.
All right. Well, can you tell everyone who's listening where they can find you or to connect with you?
Absolutely. Our website is TumiVision.com, and the same thing will be on social media. So you're not gonna see much. But yeah, you will find us.
Well, Henrich, thank you so much for sharing your insight and giving us a deeper look into both the creative and the business side of video production. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I wish you the best in your career.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.